Per my last video, after nuking my entire gut microbiome, it was now time to rebuild. So how did I do that? I decided to use the GAPS nutritional protocol. Now, GAPS is a very specific and strategic way to rebuild your gut. So the first 3 days, I only drank homemade meat stock and boiled meats. Probably the worst 3 days I've done. It is so boring, and honestly, it doesn't taste very good. After day 3, I started reintroducing certain low fibrous vegetables. The logic behind that is that you want to feed your gut microbiome, and they feed off fiber, so you give them a little bit of fiber. Another important thing in GAP is the introduction of fermented vegetables. Fermented vegetables are loaded with probiotics, but again, if you haven't had them in a while, like me, they can create a very high histamine response, making your symptoms worse, which was my case the first day I introduced them. So you have to do it slowly. And the way to do that is by drinking the juice of the fermented vegetables first. So you do that for a few days, then you add a bit more juice, and then after that you start adding tiny little bits of fermented vegetables to the point where you can have a solid tablespoon at each meal. After a week of boiled meats, meat stock, and certain vegetables and fermented vegetables, I started to broaden a little bit by having grilled meats and fish. I kept doing that for about 4 weeks. So no sugar, no fruits, and very low carbs for about 4 weeks, which is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. But I will say, cutting out fruits for 4 weeks has resolved the residual bloating that I had. I still had about like 10% of bloating that won't go away. And finally, by cutting out all the sugars, the bloating went away. Now at this point, after week 4, I am having grilled meats, meat stock, boiled meats, boiled vegetables, regular vegetables or steamed vegetables, and fermented vegetables. And I started to hit kind of a plateau where I was just so tired and I felt nutritionally deprived. So after discussing with the nutritionist and my doctors, we agreed to kind of let's broaden the diet out. So this is when I started adding low sugar fruits like kiwi, pomegranates, blueberries. I also added eggs back. I added more squash, a little bit of sweet potatoes as well, because that's a resistant starch that is supposed to feed your gut and it tastes amazing. And finally, I added lactose-free dairy, such as Parmesan, which is naturally lactose-free, and kefir. Now I go with raw goat's milk kefir. Why raw? Because it hasn't been pasteurized, so there's a lot of beneficial enzyme in there. And the fact that it's fermented has a ton of probiotics, which is what I'm trying to get, more probiotics. So we'll see how it goes in the next few months. But as of right now, it feels good. My gut feels great. And I'm hoping that I see a change in my autoimmune symptoms.